Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelorette Recap, a guy's review. As we all know, last night we celebrated Katie Thurston's hometown episode, which means one episode left, the 3-hour finale next Monday. Now, there are a ton of commentators and celebrities and former contestants all voicing their opinion. Was this gaslighting? Was Katie gaslighted? I had to Google that. Gaslit versus gaslighted. Apparently, it's gaslighted. Was she gaslit? Did she get gaslit? Was she gaslighted? Am I gaslighting you with proper pronunciation? I don't know. Gaslight your finger on top of that like button and leave a comment. Subscribe if you haven't already. And we're going to get right into it. So now we got Nick Viall, old Nicky V, kind of pleading the case for Greg. On the case of whether or not it was gaslighting. Of course, we're referring to Greg sort of telling Katie he had to go because she didn't respond to him when he said, "I loved you." Now, of course, like I have said in the past, I made my last video. With me, I got Ref Dave over here. I sided with Katie. Not to say that she's completely in the clear, but just to say, just because she didn't say it back to him doesn't mean he should expect her. You should never expect someone to say, "I love you" back. Say it because you mean it and have the confidence. And of course, he's in a very tough situation. But Nick Viall has been in a tough situation himself. So does he understand what Katie was going through? And then after this, I'll talk about Claire Crowley being a game changer. Claire Crowley and how her season may have changed the way things are done, the expectation that contestants may have. So Nick says, "I'm always amazed how Bachelor Nation will doubt people's sincerity while simultaneously get mad at the people who don't blindly accept the rules of the show, especially when it comes to their hearts." Someone said, "Weren't you a lead? Can you empathize with her position? Dang, I don't know if I can trust Ask Nick anymore if this is your take." Which, by the way, I hate comments like that. Well, I don't know if I can support your... It's like a soft cancellation. I might have to... I don't believe in this one of your takes, so I'm not going to trust all the other things you said. So, first of all, I completely reject that type of comment. I get it all the time from people that don't agree with me. I used to subscribe to you, but now I'm going to have to unsubscribe, and it's like... Bye, Cheryl. Okay, what are you going to do? Let the guy say his opinion. Your opinions aren't bought and sold. They're what you have here. So then Nick says, "I totally empathize with her position, but Greg is trying to make this real, which I also empathize with. This isn't gaslighting. It's two people not meeting each other's expectations in an insanely high-stakes situation and reacting poorly." So we can agree it's an insanely high expectation and insanely high stakes. We can agree on that. Now, Nick empathizes with her position. Now, Greg is trying to make this real, which I also empathize with. My problem with Greg, it's like, well, given when push came to shove, Katie was down on her knees asking for your forgiveness and asking for you to understand where she's at, and that wasn't enough. So it's a tough position because regardless of whether it was gaslighting or not, when the negotiations came to the table, when Katie was there chasing him down, it wasn't enough for him. So if that's not enough, then what would be? You know what I mean? A very faulty place to start a relationship, but in their case, a place where the relationship ended. So let's read some other comments. Actually, you know what? Let me go to this. Let's do this. We like to hear what Reddit has to say. God, I bet you, oh boy, they probably put Nick's head on a spike here. We'll have to see. Sometimes... Let's see. Terms such as... Okay, hold on. We're going to refresh here. We're doing this live. Lots of content today coming out. Make sure to subscribe. Hello. Terms such as gaslighting, manipulative, etc. are fine to use as long as the discussion... Oh, hold on. We just lost that there. Be kind and respectful. However, accusations of abuse tread too closely to armchair diagnosis, harmful accusations, and will be removed. So anyway, that's just the moderator say, keep it clean. It's interesting Nick has this take because this scenario literally happened with him and Vanessa and was the downfall of their relationship. The moral of the story is never tell your F1 that they are the F1 in week 3 and spend the next 7 weeks forcing them to watch you date other people. Wait until fantasy suites to make up your mind and tell someone where you stand. It messes with people's heads way too much that to know they are the F1 so early on and live through the season that way. I never thought of it this way. And of course, we're not here to blame Katie for that. Katie was doing the best with the information she had. She's never been in a situation like this before. She told Greg, like on that first one-on-one, hey, you're going to be here for a while. And I think that's good for her to say, but I do understand this point. It's like you don't want to give someone too much hope because then they're going to have more to lose. in some kind of weird way, this is a weird way to relate it. It's like Simone Biles, right? Everyone's looking at her like, you're going to win 6 gold medals, right? And she's like, 6 gold medals? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm going to try my best. And, then she gets the twisties and all that. But the point is that the expectation is set to a place that it was hard to attain. And for Greg, he wasn't able to live up to where she wanted him to be because he knew early on he's a contender, and then he sees all these mixed signals, which is part of the show. We don't blame Katie for the mixed signals. She is just a contestant. She's the lead contestant, but she's still a contestant on this wretched show. This just doesn't happen in real life like this. Someone said, I agree. Feelings change, and how you feel week 7 might be different than how you were feeling week 3. Best to tell them in fantasy suite. And of course, with Katie's scenario with Greg, she kind of started to tell him he was the guy before Blake even showed up. And then Blake's like, you want to chug some maple syrup? And she's like, do I ever? And next thing you know, they're in an igloo playing tonsil hockey. That's a Canadian makeout joke. Folks, we are on fire today. What bothered me most about Greg was when Greg went immediately from I am in love with you, you are my future wife, to you didn't react the way I expected, therefore I can never forgive you. Bingo. Bing, 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 bingo. I think Katie's reaction to Greg's profession of love was, yes, weird AF and lukewarm. I could even understand that really upset him and shook his confidence. But why couldn't Greg hear her out when she explained why? That's my point. Of course it was a little weird. Maybe she's in her head, or maybe the producers are telling her after this date, you got to go talk to Blake. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm falling for Greg, but Blake's still here. And oh my gosh, Justin, Justin's still here? We didn't get rid of Justin yet? No, Justin's here. So who knows what's going through her head? He needed empathy for her. He didn't have it. So he immediately jumped to, I'm out. Pissed off. If he genuinely meant anything he said, he would have tried to figure out how to understand her weird reaction and move forward with her, because he was so sure that she was his freaking future wife. So, can you imagine going from so sure to breakup within like moments? As someone who has experience with an ex-partner who did a lot of love bombing and then turned on a dime like Greg, I'm not saying that he's an evil or manipulative guy. Just that he is not ready or understanding of what real love in relationships require. And then underneath we have this right here. This is it. So of course we understand. We understand. We're enlightened. We're thinking about it. It's a lot easier when it's not your situation. We can look at others from a distance and go, we see what happened wrong here, right? We see that he wasn't willing to be flexible with the love he gave her, and he needed it in return, and she wasn't able to give it to him. And therefore, his love was conditional. And when your love is conditional, it only exists under certain conditions. Unconditional love loves without needing it to return. Someone had mentioned Zach Clark with Tayshia. Tayshia was unwavering. Tayshia was a little nervous. She had other things going on. Zach was sitting there in his own fortitude, his own mental sort of like self-worth, knowing who he is, knowing how his relationship was. And it was that confidence that made her go, this is the one. This is the guy. And, just Greg's not there yet. I just kind of hit the mic stand with my knuckle. All right, folks. I condemn, just yelling at people. All right, here we go. When your fiance co-hosts a Bachelorette, let's not play. Yeah, all right, I'll play this one real quick. This is a palate cleanser, a nice quick one. Yeah. I don't know. When your fiance co-hosts a Bachelor, is she doing it next year? I don't know. What does Chris Harrison think? I don't know. When will you see me next? I don't know. Is she like a producer? No. Who's the next Bachelor? All right, that was a complete waste of our time. I apologize for that. I realized halfway into that it was probably licensed music I shouldn't play. All right, here we go. Doing that morning coffee. You ever make extra coffee in the morning knowing you're going to need it as iced coffee in the afternoon? Full tank of gas. Speculation leads contract change. Fascinating stuff. Do you think ABC Warner Brothers changed the contract for The Bachelor Bachelorette after what happened with Claire? Now, as we know, Claire kind of bounced with Dale, and they were like, oh my gosh, no, we need some security that they're going to stick around. We got millions of dollars on the line here. It appears Greg was asking Katie to admit she loves him and end the show to run away with him. Katie was signaling throughout this process for the Canadians out there that Greg was F1 and all about said it to him on the hometown date without saying it. Basically, Greg wanted Katie to pull a Claire or Colton, be careful there, and end things, but Katie was very reluctant to do so. You'd be more specific about what type of Colton did you want her to perform. Duct tape a tracking device underneath the trunk of a car, stalking your ex. I mean, what is it? Maybe they changed, and Colton just gaslighted the whole Bachelor Nation. Maybe they changed the contract and the lead is obligated to get to a certain point in the process or something, otherwise they are financially penalized. Well, that too is very fascinating. There's a lot of money at stake, probably $250,000 here. Claire, let's see what they said. I think there's a few possibilities. You're right, and there was a contract change, or she kept on a shorter leash in general. She got spooked by how Claire was received and the fact that Claire and Dale were still technically broken up when her season started filming, so she wanted to see the process through to the end. She wasn't exactly 100% sold on Greg being F1. I think Blake coming in late and her having feelings made her want to be 100% sure on Greg before committing. I think it was going to be Greg anyways, but I can't fault her for not being 100% in a very unique situation. I think that's possible. I also think it's possible Katie was aware of the intense hate Claire got and didn't want to ruin the show. Katie's biggest mistake was being too aware she was on a show and worrying what assholes like us think. Well, I don't know about that. Claire only did what she did because producers encouraged it. No one is going to quit without producer approval and face the lawsuits that ABC can throw at them. Let's be real. Claire was a difficult lead and the producers wanted to get rid of her in a creative way. Claire, recovering from breast implant illness. We wish Claire well. Little did we know at the time she was suffering from a multitude of ailments due to breast implant illness. She is in recovery, I think, on day 6 now, so we wish her very well. So Emma Gray, I read this in my last video, said this, which I totally agree with. I feel really icky the way swaths of Bachelor Nation rush to pick sides and deduce who is bad and who is good. Sometimes people are just people and they do good and crappy things and they have emotions and they hurt each other without malice. Safe Passage said fair, but like we are also allowed to point out when actions are objectively hurtful or unhealthy. There are too many young people out there watching shows like this to figure out what to expect in relationships. We need to talk about it. Completely agree talking about it. The problem we have is that we jump on the pendulum, and so many of us jump on the pendulum that as it starts swinging, we don't have the wherewithal to stop it at the appropriate spot. What I'm trying to say is this. Greg's not an awful person. The pendulum swung and rightfully criticized him for those conversations, the interrupting, the whatever, not listening to her, not accepting her apology, all those things, and then it just drove right through. Now, I'm sure Greg will be fine. I'm sure we'll hear his side of things on podcasts in the future. I'm sure through that discussion, the torches will simmer down and we'll start to be a little more nuanced. But in the meantime, it was ugly. I was in my chat room on my Discord, which there's always a link in my bio on Instagram if you want to join the Discord. I was in my chat room, and it's probably 99% women, and so many were disgusted and triggered by their own experiences being very similar to that the show on its best day shows the love that we all receive, the love that we all want. The show on its worst days, like last night, shows us the strength of the ego to protect itself at all costs from hurt, pain, and love and grief and whatever. And you see Greg just completely self-sabotage what was a very strong relationship because he couldn't get past very, I don't want to say minute, but like things that I think a more evolved person would get past and understand and have more empathy towards. So someone else posted this. Did I already share this? Yeah, so it's the whole fact that Claire changed the game. I already shared that, right? Just want to make sure that that's the same one and not something different. Leads contract. Oh, no, this is different. Claire changed the game. When Claire took off with Dale, contestants now know that it is possible to go off script if you feel strongly enough about someone. I have no idea if Greg was real or not, but I understand if you're about to make a lifetime commitment to someone, you want to be clear about what their feelings are. He was like, to hell with that, what the show wants, tell me what you want. I don't want to hear scripted talking points or catchphrases, and I don't want to be on some list. With all the build-up, I was prepared to see him as a complete villain, but after watching, felt more complicated than that. Of course, it is more complicated than someone just being a complete villain, but at the same time, we see the problem that exists, and maybe it's not a problem collectively, but the problem that some people have where they can't overcome blockages that they have with regards to past trauma, overcoming things, being able to open their heart up for others. The way he said he loved her and didn't get it back, you'd think he it's almost like if you're on Shark Tank and you're like, all right, I've been working on this thing for years. Here's the deal. It's a fantasy suite, but it's for OnlyFans account. So if you pay money, you get to watch the fantasy suite. And I'm asking for $20,000 and 10% equity. And all the sharks are like, this is the stupidest idea ever. And again, this is a stupid idea. It was only a joke from a tweet. But then the person's like, I spent my whole life investing in this idea. Now you're telling me this idea is not right. And then it's like, I have to protect myself at all costs. So Greg's like, I love you. I love you. I love you. I'm in love with you. I'm falling in love with you. I haven't opened with anyone. I played basketball with you, which I haven't done with anyone since my dad passed away. And she can't tell him that back, at least in the moment. And for him, that was like, if you can't come to where I am right now, burn it, scorch it, get away, protect myself at all costs. And unfortunately, it's that self-sabotaging that keeps a lot of people from finding the love that I believe we all certainly deserve in this life. So if we can learn anything from a situation like this, it is to hit the like button and subscribe. Now, if we can learn anything in a situation like this, it is to learn that we do have demons, and our greatest adversaries are usually within our own mind. And if we can get over that ego, if we can learn to get past the reactive nature, the neediness, and if we can find happiness and security within, then we can provide this shield from all of the outside elements and then be like one with ourselves and sort of live a life that's more calm. I can't tell you the last time I screamed out of angst, you know what I mean? Because, I scream out of fun and I heighten things and this and that, but I've done a lot of that. And again, no one wants to deal with tragedy, knock on wood. It's part of life, right? But you learn to love, you learn to let go, you learn to be in the moment, you learn to not stress about things you can't fix. Don't worry about things you can't fix, and if you can fix something, make that change. Serenity prayer, just very simple aspects of life, and gaining control where you can, but understanding, hey, Los Angeles is going to have traffic. If I decide to live in LA, provide enough time to deal with that traffic. And Greg didn't know what was going to happen to him, but for future contestants, if you decide to be on the show, I'm not someone who says it so flippantly, well, you signed the contract, you know what to expect, but do whatever you can to harvest whatever energy it is to find the happiness within yourself. They take away your cell phones, your social media, your Instagram, all of the things that we're kind of addicted to, and they go, okay, we'll take away your sleep, we'll give you some alcohol, let's see how you do. And of course, it heightens a lot of situations and brings the worst out of people. And in Greg's case, terrible ruminations. Rumination, like my friend Petra Kolber wrote a book called The Perfection Detox, which I cite quite often. She was on the podcast if you want to search for it. And Petra Kolber talks about ruminating and how we'll be our worst enemy. We'll continuously think of negative thoughts until it's obsessively in the front and center. And that's what 99% of our thoughts are the same thoughts over and over. So instead of thinking of negative thoughts, think of the positive ones, the ones you can control. I'm a good person. I mean well. I am enough. I have enough. I want to share it. Whatever you can say as a positive mantra to get you through that moment, take deep breaths, reoxygenate your body, and understand that this meat unit, this vessel we live in, while it can sabotage us, it can also be the key to all of the loves and riches we can find in this world. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye now.